Welcome back to another week of Stocks in Review for the upcoming week. In this special edition, we're going to do everything we normally do, but I added one special feature. We're going to see if the rumor is really true that a stock dumps after a CEO interviews with Jim Cramer for Mad Money, or does it get a bump? I'm going to go back all the way to interviews held from late spring of this year up to the most recent ones this week. The results will follow. Let's first take a look at some of the newsworthy items that might affect trading in the upcoming week. OJ won his release from jail on Thursday. Oh wait, that's not going to affect stocks. The healthcare vote was delayed again, and news of Senator McCain having brain cancer rocked Washington. The numerous delays we've been having on healthcare equals uncertainty for the markets, and is one extra unnecessary downward pressure we surely don't need. It was announced late morning that Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary, resigned over a disagreement with the president over a new communication director. Just a little bit more drama for Washington and uncertainty for the markets. But more importantly, we won't see Melissa McCarthy outtakes anymore on SNL. Oh well. On Monday, numbers for existing home sales are reported. Then, on Wednesday, two big announcements. In the morning, we have new home sales. Then, the FOMC makes their announcement about interest rates at 2 p.m. GDP wraps up the week on Friday. It was a wild week for cryptocurrencies since last Friday's report. Over the weekend, my little investment of $1,100 was down over $250, just over 22% at one point. And then developers started making progress on activating an upgrade that they refer to as the segregated witness. This needs to be resolved by August 1st. Otherwise, digital currency will split, and various exchanges like Coinbase say that they will pause trading if there is a split in the currency. Just like the stock market, uncertainty brings out the bears in the cryptocurrency world. And, for example, Bitcoin hit a low of about $1,862 over the last weekend, a number we haven't seen since mid-May. Throughout this week, with the probability of things getting resolved and more miners signaling their willingness to participate, there's been quite the rally. Of course, being busy, I missed the high that it hit on Thursday of almost $2,900 at 7 p.m. So, I encourage you to set a price alert for whatever your price target is. If you use Coinbase, just click onto the settings button, then hit the price alerts. Then choose either Bitcoin or Ethereum. Then hit the plus sign in the top right corner. Then slide the scale at the bottom of your screen to whatever number you wish and click Create Alert at the very bottom. And that's all you do. I decided to walk away with my 11% gain this morning and wanted to quickly share with you what I learned from my very limited 4 weeks of experience with Bitcoin. I've noticed that it seems to go up when the dollar goes down. It also seems to go up when geopolitical events occur, like North Korea shooting missiles around. Just like in stocks, averaging down when you may have bought high helped me to catch up after my first purchase in June. I definitely recommend that you watch whatever cryptocurrency that you're buying to find a good entry point and then pull the trigger. From what I hear, a lot of investors fail to do this. The last takeaway I observed was that Bitcoin seemed to hit its lows and experience its maximum beta or volatility on weekends compared to what I noticed during the work week. Of course, my 1-month investment isn't very long, but I'll continue watching it through the end of the year. If you notice any other catalysts other than the obvious August 1st one that we discussed, please comment below so our viewers might learn from your experience. On watch this week, I have Advanced Micro Devices, Microsoft, Sprint, and 10x Pharmaceuticals. It's really funny to watch all the social media on AMD, especially after what happened with Microsoft after they reported better than expected earnings. After a short-lived 4% pop on Microsoft's stock price, it then dropped 1.5% below Thursday's closing price, because the company announced its outlook that the street didn't quite like or think was aggressive enough. Of course, if you don't blow the roof off on everything like Netflix recently did, it just doesn't seem to matter how good everything else is to the market. I expect Microsoft will continue its year-long rise this coming week and beyond. With AMD reporting earnings on Tuesday after the close, it's a real gamble to hold through, in my personal opinion. But I think the stock will be bullish on Monday and Tuesday for an easy scalp if you can buy on the dips. Good luck with that. Sprint's 2-month period of exclusive negotiations with Charter and Comcast conclude this month. Could this be the week that we hear about a potential merger? Will there be more from Warren Buffett? Who knows? A nice little uptrend has been forming on the stock with higher lows over the last couple of weeks. I'll be watching this close. I've been seeing a lot of green candles on 10x Therapeutics, a very bullish chart, and the company is scheduled for a pre-submission meeting with Health Canada before the end of the month. This should also provide additional clarification for the next steps to follow for submission. Canada tends to follow the drug approval processes found in Europe more so than in the US, and more than 60 countries have already approved their lead calcium sensitizer drug for coronary artery bypass surgery, and it's been used in over 1 million patients worldwide. There's also 35 published trials supporting its safety and efficacy. It has a 16-year safety record overseas. Their pre-NDA meeting with the FDA was May 10th, and a response can happen any time now. Fingers remain crossed, but the charts are whispering optimism. Only 2 new stocks for the week. The first is the predurable stock well-known Boeing Company, ticker symbol BA. Year to date, the stock is up 40% and doing 4 times better than all of its fellow Dow components over the same time frame. The charts are quite bullish right now, and new buy signals are pretty evident. The company has hit every earnings estimate easily for 6 straight years except at the beginning of 2016, and the momentum doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. I think if you hold this through the end of the year, you'll see an upside of another 20% without blinking an eye. My final stock to review is a super hot biopharmaceutical company that's been getting a lot of press recently, Portola Pharmaceuticals, ticker symbol PTLA. I held this stock early in the year when it had its first big spike, and what's happening now with its recent approval of its anticoagulant drug is just mind-blowing. I like this one, too, for more than just a short-term swing because of what's in the pipeline and the potential that it could be bought out. The charts look good here, and this drug is far superior than most of the comparable available therapies. What's especially nice about this is it was recently mentioned on CNBC's Mad Money show, and depending on what you already feel in terms of the Cramer bump or Cramer dump, you might be able to pick up PTLA on a dip this coming week. What a great segue to my special feature about Jim Cramer for Mad Money. After the disappointing drop this week when the CEO of Aurinia Pharmaceuticals sat down for an interview, the stock dropped significantly the next day. It made me wonder, is Cramer really getting a bad rap? And are stocks for companies that are being featured likely to drop or not? I decided to take a look going all the way back to the spring of this year. KeyCorp CEO Beth Mooney was just on Mad Money, and the stock hit a high before going on the air of $19.10 a share. And it was also announced the second quarter profits had met Wall Street expectations. Then, after airing, the next day it dropped to a low $18 range. So this one counts as a dump. Next, the CEO from Bison, ticker symbol BZUN, interviewed with Jim this week, and its stock hit a high of $30.07 a share before the interview. Then the next day, it hit a respectable $32.34 a share, our first bump. The CEO of Edward Life Sciences wouldn't smile if he knew that his stock was going to drop the next day, ticker symbol EW. It hit a high before airing of $119.88 a share. Then the next day it went down to less than $118. I'm not counting the 3-minute spike at 9:40 in the morning because it was so short-lived. Unfortunately, this does count as a dump. They report earnings next week, by the way. The CEO from Aurinia Pharmaceuticals met Cramer on July 17th. The stock hit a high of $7.65 before going on air, then dropped to a low of $6.76 a share the very next day. I'd quantify this as a dump. Herman Miller's CEO Brian Walker was on with Cramer, ticker symbol MLHR. He interviewed July 12th. The stock hit a high of $33.70 a share before the interview, then got a little bump to $34.35 the next day. So we'll count that as our second bump. On July 11th, the CEO from Constellation Brands had good reason to smile. Their ticker symbol is STZ. He stopped by for an interview, and the pre-interview stock price was a high of $193. Then, after airing, it hit a high of $197 the next day. This counts as another bump for Cramer. July 10th, Novocure's executive chairman of the board was interviewed. Ticker symbol NVCR. Pre-interview price of $18.21 a share was noted. Post-interview hit a high of $20.73, an impressive bump. Equinix CEO Steve Smith met Cramer the same day, ticker symbol EQIX. The pre-interview stock price was $427.31 a share. The next day it popped to $430.62, then over $439 the very next day. An impressive bump for sure. At the end of June, Don Wood from Federal Realty Trust, ticker symbol FRT, came on Mad Money. The stock price was a hair over $125 a share. After the interview, it had a little pop to nearly $128 a share, another bump for Cramer. On or about June 22nd, Jim met with the CEO of Entergy Corporation, ticker symbol ETR. Pre-interview price was $79.19 a share. The next day, it dropped to $78.99. It had a one-day recovery to the pre-interview price, then dropped continually through the end of the month. Sorry, our fourth dump out of the 10 interviews. Okay, let's speed things up a bit for you. We know you have things to do, so watch close. So, out of the last 20 interviews in a 2-month time period, 9 stocks have materially gone up, 6 basically remain the same, what we're calling a draw, and 5 dropped. If you go to the casino and you come home with what you started with, that's considered a win. So I'd say that Jim Cramer is worthy of the phrase, the Cramer bump. I'll watch the numbers and see more carefully what happens through the end of the year. Have a great week, and don't forget that investing in the stock market carries risk. Never invest more than you can afford to lose or not have access to for an extended period of time. If you enjoy our videos, please click subscribe as well as like. Thank you so much and have a great week.